Okay. Good morning and welcome all to this world of ALP Astrology. I'm Mrs. Nithya Shankar, joining from Chennai, and alongside with me is my friend Roopesh Naidu, who's also an ALP astrologer. He is from Bangalore. I would request him to introduce himself.
Thank you, madam. Very good morning to you also, and all of them who are watching this live session. So myself, Roopesh, an ALP astrology practitioner from Bangalore.
Fine. Thank you, Roopesh. We will start with a small invocation and slowly get into the program.
Sure.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvata Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, thank you. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today we are here to discuss about marriage and marriage, astrology in marriage, and what is the role of ALP astrology in marriage. Generally, we see in these days, the common clients who come to us is predominantly with marriage not happening or delay in marriage, and also some many divorces. So they are coming for if they can patch up with the partner, wherein one partner is not actually aligned with them, and they also come for second marriages option. So what is it in marriage? Is the wait over? That's the title we have for today. Well, what is it in marriage actually? Marriage, or as we all know, we generally say is marriages are made in heaven. So if it is made in heaven, then destiny should find and show us the partner, right? But does it really happen that way? Well, marriages are made in heaven, and ALP astrology and evolution by itself has proved it mathematically that everything is karma. The biggest asset and the biggest revelation of ALP astrology is the karmic theory is completely mathematical and logical. Everything that we experience is tied up to karma, and there is some extent of it which is in our hands as well. So do we really know what is in our hands and what is in our destiny? Well, astrology it's called Veda Chakshu, which means the eyes for Vedas. So if it is an eye for a Veda, don't we think that we deserve to use that eyes and see what our future has in store? We really need to understand how astrology plays a major role in everything, in all facets of life, primarily the marriage, because that is generally called the turning point in a person's life, right? So, well, if that is the turning point, then we are in a junction, in a crossroad. In fact, we will have abundance of choices. We will have to know where exactly our choice lies, right? And if our choice is right or wrong, do we have it in our bhagya? If I have to choose a partner, because you are entering into a lifetime agreement with the partner. If that partner is right, is the partner compatible with us? Do we have things in common? Generally, to see partners are always opposites in a normal thing, because the first bhava is me and the seventh bhava is my partner. So they are never the same, right? So, but you complement each other. It's not that your opposites actually attract, isn't it? But is that opposite enough to attract? These are the questions we are going to address. And we will see how traditional astrology in all these days have handled marriage. Marriage is union of two people. Is it just union of two people, or union of two families, or two traditions? It's a union across board. That is why, because it is made in heaven also, probably we have the term called soulmates. Soul is just not the body, right? The physical body is just the body which we all see, but it is termed as soulmates. Isn't it thought-provoking? Why is it termed soulmates? Because it extends beyond time. So this is where the karmic theory actually imprints itself. So when it is two families, so it is just not the two individuals. So we have to see how the relationship of the person is with the mother, mother-in-law, father, father-in-law, siblings, uncle, aunt, everyone, because everyone at some point of time will have a say and will also be impacting the life of two individuals, because our system itself is closed. I mean, it's a unit and family oriented, right? The culture, the background of Indian culture, if you see where horoscopes play a major role in our lives in marriage, it's because families are involved. If it is just two individuals, only love marriage is more than enough. People just love. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So that's why we have this horoscope and the science behind it. Well, in traditional astrology, we generally, Vedic astrology, I would say, we have all these compatibility ratios which we consider for marriage. And primarily, they see Raju and they see Yoni and doshas like Mars dosha and Venus dosha and stuff like that. So they give values for everything. And if you have a score of 18 on 36, 36 being the maximum points that they give. So 18 marks, if you have, it's the average marriage. And if it is above 18 to 32, then it is considered to be a good marriage, and 32 above is an ideal marriage. But after all this is, if you see, primarily arranged marriages are seen with horoscope matching, and it is getting into the relationship mode. But does all marriages work after seeing horoscope? Sadly not. In fact, at the time of matching the horoscope, we see the birth lagna and we match it with that, which means it is stationary, right? If it is stationary, and if I see my partner is the most compatible and ideal marriage, I'm saying, if the 7th house and 1st house are ideally like 32 points or 33 points out of 36, then there should not be any issues at all. We should be the happiest couple ever. Every day there should not be any kind of a discomfort or an argument or anything whatsoever. We should be perfectly aligned. But is the reality so? Sadly not, right? We see at every walk of life in a 24-hour span, we have argument for silliest thing to the biggest thing. And the silliest thing actually flares up to an extent that it breaks even the peace of mind and ends up in a different tangent, which we all don't want. We spend huge amount of money in investing and hosting a marriage, and in a span of 3 years or even less than that, we see that there is compatibility issues, and this generation faces it the most because we see both men and women equally empowered. So they don't know where to draw that line, where to adjust, where to be dominant. There is no complete knowledge or awareness, or even they don't even have a clue that even it is possible to know all these things. I would ask my friend Roopesh Naidu to further explain and tell like where our ALP plays a major role in this. Over to Roopesh.
Thank you, madam. A lot of practical light from your end upon the present trend on the marriage. Really amazing to hear. So let us understand one thing, madam. Like, what is the role of astrology in marriage? Do we seriously need to consider astrology for the compatibility studies, or to proceed with the subject of marriage? So in order to analyze this entire system, or the entire concept, or the influence of astrology over marriage, as you rightly said, yes, astrology is what it is called as the Veda Chakshu, which means it is considered to be the eyes of the Paramatma. So generally, what is the major role of eyes? To see something, right? To see something. So that is exactly what we do. So the application of astrology on one's own individual helps us to see something. So seeing is what? Seeing is what? It is nothing but you are seeing a light. So you are creating an awareness. So you are being sure of something. You are being sure of doing what, and what is suitable to you and what is not suitable to you. So the application of astrology over an individual, or over any sort of lifestyle activities, helps us to create an awareness and how we need to perform our duties over those aspects of life. And the other point which you rightly mentioned was something about the karma, right? So astrology is nothing but a subject which is actually designed on the basis of karma siddhanta. So what does this majorly tell? So karma siddhanta, it completely speaks about the actions and the reactions, what we are performing and what we go through over a period of time, which means in our entire lifespan. So it is just a play between our actions and the reactions, and the expressions what gets involved in it, and the experiences what we gain through it, right? So the application of astrology, whenever it exclusively comes to the point of marriage, we have to understand something, something about the astrology here, madam. So what I would like to tell is, see, out of these many million people, we should get aligned with one single person, right? Whenever it comes to the to the part of marriage. And so on a practical note, to put forth this in a very very simple matter. So let us assume that you are buying something which is out of very very limited edition. So what are all the features you will be seeing in it, right? And you will also be checking the life of the product, right? Like how long it will be there for usage, and like how long it will be there as a beneficial product for you. So looking at all these things, and that too if it is a limited edition, you should also like that, right? All these criterias are there in order to pick just simple only one product. Now think about picking a life partner. So what are the validation factors you will be looking into, right? So in order to do all these things, the application of astrology plays a very very vital role here. And as you rightly said, in traditional astrology, we do take the parameters of compatibility. So whenever we talk about compatibility, right? So compatibility studies are, it is done across, various areas, just not, confined to astrology. Compatibility studies in nowadays are done in various, streams of areas. So compatibility studies becomes very, very important to analyze what needs to be done at what point of time, so that we bring out the best out of it. So as you rightly said, in spite of matching the horoscopes by considering the parameters like whatever it is being told, still the possibility of breaking marriages are seen. I don't use the word high here, but we do come across such cases. The reason is the compatibility or the matching of horoscope just not stops over there. It rightly gives the awareness at what point of time the challenges are expected and how do we need to tackle it and what are the awarenesses we should be aware of. So this entire picture of marriage, when two individuals step to build a future. So to give an idea of all these things, the application of astrology becomes very, very important. So in order to analyze all these things, the Bhrigu Maharshi, who is called as the father of astrology, bought all these concepts because he understood that people are all of limited editions. They need to get aligned with each other. So in order to do all these things, the application of astrology plays a very, very vital role in each and every individual's life. So whenever we study the concept of astrology, so all these things are on a practical note. Now switching on to the language of astrology, seventh house is considered to be the house of marriage, right? Seventh house is the house of marriage or the house of spouse. Since the entire concept of astrology is based on the karma siddhanta, so any house 10th to its house indicates the karma of that house, right? So the 10th house to the 7th house becomes the 4th house. So where does the karma of the 7th house lies? It lies in the 4th house, right? So what is 4th house? 4th house is considered to be the house of comforts. It is also considered to be it is called as Sukha Bhava, right? Where all sort of our materialistic comforts, mortal, immortal properties, mother, house, all these things are present in the 4th house. So generally, I do not in today's world. So whenever it comes to the point of marriage, the major emphasis is given on the 4th house. They check the quality of parents, right? They check the standard of living. They check what are all the securities that we have, right? See, all these things get mapped in 4th house. The reason is the karma of 7th house lives in the 4th house. So in the natural significations also, 9th house is Sagittarius, right? The owner of 9th house is what? Jupiter. 9th house in astrological terminology is what? Father. So where does father gets exalted? He gets exalted in the 4th house, house of mother, right? The 7th house karma, where 4th house is the significator of moon. Moon signifies 4th house. And where does father gets exalted? In the house of moon. So my parents, so 7th house, the karma, even my parents also, they stay in the 4th house. So 4th house becomes very, very important. So that is the reason whenever it comes to the point of marriage, they check for 4th house, either in the matter of guy or in the matter of girl. Now, let us switch to the 7th house now. The 10th house karma, the karmat karma bhava. 7th house becomes the karmat karma bhava, the 10th to 10th house. Right? The 7th house holds the karma of the 10th house. So 10th house is what? The karma sthana, right? The entire karma of our life resides in 10th house. The 10th to 10th bhava is the 7th house. They generally tell, right, on a very practical note, whenever they speak about life, they tell if you get the right life partner, so 80% of your life is a good go through. The reason is 7th house is the spouse, which becomes the 10th of 10th house, the karmat karma bhava. And here also, if you see, right, the 10th house significator becomes Saturn. The karmadhipati and the significator of the 10th house becomes Saturn. And where does he gets exalted? He gets exalted in the 7th house, right, in the Tula Rashi, in the 10th of 10th house. So my karma, where does our karma lie? The karma of the individual lies in the 7th house. So if you actually look at the horoscopes, madam, this is a tried, tested, and verified rule. Like the people, the viewers who are watching the live session can actually check. Two individuals having the place, you should pick up the placement of Saturn and pick up the placement of Venus. In two horoscopes, in a husband and wife horoscopes, if the placement of Saturn and Venus in these two horoscopes are in 6 and 8 to each other, in the Antar Bhuktis or in the Bhukti periods of Venus and Saturn, it will throw challenges in the married life. So if you are aware of this concept, right? So you will be aware what needs to be done. So how well you will be prepared to handle the challenges. So this is exactly what the awareness of astrology brings whenever it plays a role in terms of marriage. So I would like to tell the emphasize or the role of astrology as a very, very huge and wide significance whenever it comes to the aspect of marriage, madam.
True. See, 1 and 1, 4, 7 and 10, like very nicely explained, because the comfort is the primary thing everyone looks for in life, right? So
Exactly.
we enter into a marriage to be comfortable. But the rule of ALP, so where ALP plays a role, on generic scale, whatever Roopesh just said, it's the primary for all human beings entering into life and for general life, not only marriage, because with or without marriage, a person wants to be comfortable. So here, ALP plays a vital role, because we see that if it is a stationary 1, 4, 7, 10 positions, then the thing, however is your bhagya in your birth chart, you have to experience it all along your life. But that is not the case. So when ALP, basically first I'll explain what ALP does. What is ALP? ALP is Akshaya Lagna Patadi, which means the Lagna shifts from one house to the next house in every 10 years. So when we shift the Lagna, which was Mesha or the Aries house, when it moves to the Taurus house, then what is the perspective of the natal and his behavior? Because in 10 years, there would be a mental and a physical change in every human being, right? Which impacts their day-to-day life, which impacts their life in the next course of 10 years, gradually shifting every 1 year, 1 month, 10 days, the nakshatra point shifts. So for every year, the person has a different experience. You can further filter down to see the Dasha Bhukti and Antara and all, everything. So which shows accurately what shift happens when in each person's life. That is why we show, even individually, every one of us show a different shade every other day. We are not happy today, but we are extremely happy tomorrow. In this whole 24-hour span of time, there are times we are high and low. So we show and throw so many shades where we ourselves don't have any explanation or any idea of why we behave, how we behave, right? So this whole ALP concept, at the time of marriage, the individual is completely aligned to the partner. But when the Lagna point or the Lagna shifts, they entirely behave into be a different human being, where they don't have an idea or they don't control themselves, and the wife or the spouse, whoever, will have also be clueless, like what suddenly happened, that the same person whom I got married to is not the same today. That is the whole agony behind any restlessness or instability in any marriage. As long as the problem is very subtle, it can be managed. But when it gets bottled up and extreme conditions, it goes for a breakup. So here, when the Lagna shifts from first house, say Aries to Taurus, parallelly, you will see that this seventh house also shifts over a period of time, not necessarily same time, but as long as the seventh house doesn't shift, see, that small span of time, maybe 4 years or 2 years, it will be in Sashtrashaka. So you can see that when Aries shifts to Taurus, and here the Tula Rashi will still be the same, or the Scorpio, right? It wouldn't have shifted to Scorpio. It would still be in the Libra position. So when Taurus and Libra are 6 and 8 positions, Sashtrashaka, that is how we say. So it would be constant conflict until this natal, the partner, shifts from Libra to Scorpio. So once it moves to Scorpio, you can see there is a little bit shift in understanding the change and everything. So all this can be understood for start with, if you can download the ALP free software and first know what your ALP Lagna is, then you will also find your partner's Lagna. And for beginners, you can just match and see where each of your Lagna stands. Is it in a benefic position or in a malefic position? If it is in 6th and 8th, you got your answer right, that it is in a place where you are not compatible. So you have to understand who is at fault, or maybe not so. You may not be at fault. Probably you're not putting your point right, or from your perspective, you may be right. Your partner is not in alignment, or you're not in a position to convince your partner as to what is your point of view. So as long as you are in a wrong spot, it is better to be submissive. You can just adjust, keep quiet, and wait for the right time to put your point across, because whatever you're going to say when you're in a wrong spot is not going to be received well, and it is going to flare up and cost you your marriage and your peace of mind. So this is where ALP is throwing light completely on how we have to handle our life and progress further in a more relishing manner. The marriage is made to be more happy. All of us deserve to be happy. We work hard, we thrive the whole way to be happy, right? So in fact, the connection of 1, 4, 7 and 10th houses impacts, like if you have to take care of your mother well, you will get a good wife. Or if you take care of your mother well, you get a good husband, right? Because the mother, the second part of your life is taken, my wife is the second half of your life, the woman who is playing that role. So you need to thoroughly understand that how you behave, that karma comes with a bang in the rest part of your life. That is what exactly is the understanding. It's very simple. The minute you understand, your life transforms, because you control yourself. Change is within, and change is the only constant. We keep changing. We all know that we are not the same. We change, but that change has to be controlled by us, not without having an idea of why it is happening. Then what is the point of the sixth sense we have, or the brain that God has given us, to completely understand why we are progressing or behaving, and this will lead us to proper decision making, or understanding each other in a better fashion. That is one thing. Can we go into a horoscope and touch how ALP behaves, and how, with an example, Roopesh, if you can share the chart, and maybe we can discuss on that. Sure, just briefly touch this, because we are in a marathon series with marriage, so this will continue for a week. So we will discuss other topics later.
Okay. So is my screen visible, madam?
Yeah, it is, sir.
Okay. So this is horoscope, and which we will be seeing through the approach of ALP here. So ALP has a various set of rules whenever it comes to the point of analysis for the marriage aspect. So accordingly, by analyzing the rules which is actually been designed by the founder S. Podude Murthy sir, exclusively for marriage. So we should always consider the positioning of ALP to the birth lagna, as what rightly Madam was explaining. So it is the progression of the birth lagna, where the ascendant lagna keeps progressing according to the age of the natal. So in that perspective, when we actually look at this horoscope, we can actually clearly understand that the ascendant lagna, the birth lagna of the natal, falls in the Pisces sign or the Meena lagna, and at the age of 25 years, the ALP lagna has shifted to Taurus, which means the life has started in Meena lagna for this natal, and it has gradually progressed at the age of 25, and currently it is standing in the Taurus lagna. So when we analyze a horoscope in ALP method of astrology, we should always pick up where the positioning of ALP is placed as the first house, that is the lagna bhava. So as of now, at the age of 25, the lagna bhava becomes Vrishabha lagna, and since we will be looking for the house of for the matter of marriage, we will be checking the seventh house and the qualities of 1 and 7 here. So if you look at the ALP lagna, the lagna lord becomes Venus, and Venus is getting positioned in the 11th house, that in the house of gains. So marriage is what? It is a concept of a gain in two individuals' life, right? So the positioning of Venus is placed in the 11th house, and also if you read the ALP nakshatra is the Mrigashira. The ALP is currently traveling in the Mrigashira nakshatra, and the lord of the Mrigashira nakshatra becomes Mars, who becomes the significator of 12th and 7th house. So since Mars indicates the 7th house, we can consider that this is the right age or the right time for the natal in order to step or the get into the matters of marriage. If you see, seventh house signification is also given by Mars, because seventh house is the house which is being ruled by Mars, and that is sign Scorpio. So according to the rule of ALP, we will also be considering the the concept of D9 here, where actually it filters out and integrates and gives the exact year for the marriage. So with that approach, if you see, the D9 point is also activating the nakshatra lord, that is Mars position in the 4th house. So whenever the D9 point travels in the Kendra bhavas to ALP, so it actually signifies the positioning or the opportunity of the marriage for the natal. So if you see, whatever it has been marked in the blue color indicates the signification of D9 over the ALP. So the D9 point currently it is running in the 4th house and also activating the positioning of the 7th lord in the 4th house. So henceforth, the marriage approach for this natal was studied, and the time frame was given before the December, and this individual got married just last month, madam.
Good. See, this whole thing, I think he explained it so well with a chart, and thoroughly, I'm sure you would have understood how ALP works, the first Baba and the 7th Baba. Now that Taurus is, whenever it's Mars and Taurus ruling, you can see the opposite house is also Taurus and, Venus and Mars. So if it is Aries Lagna, then it is Mars is the lordship of that house. And the 7th house will be Venus, which is the Libra sign. Similarly, when Taurus is the ALP, then that is Venus ruled by Venus, and the 7th house will be Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. So whenever these two is the ALP of the native, then the next 20 years you have to match and see how is the Venus and Mars of both the individuals. See, here we are only considering only the one person, boy or a girl. But when you're matching horoscopes, it's always two individuals. But here you can actually see that in one person's perspective, how is he receiving his partner or she receiving her partner. So similarly, you will have to see the complementing horoscope of the male or the female, whoever is the partner, and then see how it works. So if it is a complementing chart, because Lagna is the physical growth and Rashi is the mental growth. So when physical and mental growth are very compatible, and you are seeing it for the next 30 years, because you all of us want a marriage to work for a longer time, because we have the progeny, the children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. So we all want to be happy, right? So if we have to see through, ALP has a beautiful software called ALP Life Partner, with which you can match and see what are the problems or obstacles we will face at every step of our life, which we will discuss in the further more sessions, and we will enlighten you with whatever knowledge we have. For now, I think we have given you we have touched the subject of ALP, astrology, marriage, with the values of what life has to be, with little bit of lifestyle changes. You can make big changes or impact in your relationship. And we will further continue on this topic tomorrow and the days to come. For now, for all viewers who are watching this program and who are having marital issues, I would like to give you a small parihara or a suggestion. This month being the month of Kartika and tomorrow being a Sunday, we are in India, so depending on whichever part of the world you are, the Sunday of the tomorrow is the first Sunday of the Kartika month. So if you are having any issues with your partner, I would suggest that you, both of you, in alignment, do a fasting throughout the day. Maybe people with some ailment can have fruits or not cooked food. Any uncooked food you can have, which is vegetarian. And you can break the fast in the evening. After this Vrata, you are going to be for Lord Narsimha. You can pray for Narsimha Swami and Lakshmi Mata, and you can ask for cordiality between both of you, and visit a Lakshmi Narasimha temple near your residence, or if you are in a place where there are no temples, you can just download a picture of Lakshmi Narasimha in your internet, even if you don't have a picture at home. Do some harti, do some nevaidya, take your fast and pray for your union. This will actually help you to go, patch up or give you some positivity to work towards making the marriage work. Thank you all for being here with us. Have a good day, and thank you, Roopesh, for
thank you, madam.
Us. Yeah, thank you. We will see you up tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.